So we're in the process of studying this text that Dogen wrote in the 13th century, and I just want to state again, some of you have been part of this ongoing study and some of you are coming in fresh, that we're not really studying the text. We're studying our own experience. We're using the text to study aspects of our own experience. So one reason I don't want you to sit here with a piece of paper, is because I don't want us to study the text. I can, to the degree that we're going to study the text during this seminar, I will read the text and you can listen. And when you're at home, maybe you go back to the text, but it's like the study is something like you pick up aspects of your experience and you try on certain views on that experience, and how changing your view about something, space, time, freedom, how that makes a difference. You just find out how it makes a difference. So before we go to the text this morning, I would like to guide us in an exploration, and with the intention to maybe get somewhat on the same page with our experience, if that's possible at all. We're all different. There's enough overlap in our experience that we can hopefully communicate sensibly, but I think it's very important to recognize that we're all different. The other day, somebody wrote me an email. This person I met in Berlin, he's an American. He's a novelist. He's enamored with Dogen. He wrote a novel that it's a narrative, but it's a commentary on the Genjo Koan, which we discussed last year. And he's very involved with this. And he said, what if Dogen was neurodivergent? This person is neurodivergent. He experiences his mind sufficiently different from other people that he runs into this thing like, wow, people say such and such, but for me it's like this, right? That's being divergent. It's like you're not, you feel like you're sufficiently different that it stands out. If you're colorblind, you notice that, people are talking about something that you don't experience. But I think it's actually quite useful to think like we're all neurodivergent, different, and there's enough overlap that we can make a shared world. Now, I just want to use this time right now to direct your attention, and you decide how you want to go along with this. Right? You can find your seat like you did during Zazen and feel your posture. There's no need to be in any particular posture, but just sort of make yourself present in your own posture. And then look at the scene in front of you. and allow this visual field to be really present. Now you can already notice your attention moving in this field. Is like you can focus on something, and then what you focus on appears within that focus, and whatever is not in your focus sort of is still there, but it is out of focus. Right? I'm just saying very obvious things, but things that we don't really notice that much because our attention is very involved with the content that is being produced by the way our attention moves. So now we're looking at basically the medium through which the content appears. This is rather unusual, like most human beings don't do that ever. So you can make your gaze wide, as I like to say, and look at everything all at once and nothing in particular, and then you can narrow your gaze and look at something particular. That would be the focus. And you can go back to the field. But in addition to that, noticing that movement is like, if you follow along here and really involve your attention in seeing. It's like, I want to encourage you to notice the splendor of appearance. There's all these colors. There's all these forms. There's all this complexity. It's like all this there's a bunch of stuff just, arising in this visual field. You can kind of go past it. It's like as if it's just normal and familiar. You can look at it as if it's happening for the first time. You've never seen before. You're just opening your eyes and you are amazed with all this splendor, let me call it that. Now, I'm starting with the visual field because most human beings are, probably all human beings, like if you look at sort of the real estate that vision takes up in your brain, the visual sense is so dominant for us. We live in this seen world. And there's nothing wrong with it, Some people kind of have a tendency to lament it. It's like, oh, these other senses are atrophied. I wish I was a dog and I was smelling more or something. I don't know. You're a human being. You can just accept it. So this is kind of like maybe the main dimension of our sensory activity. But now that you are immersed in the splendor of vision, you can tune attention to hearing. And this is interesting because it's like switching a channel. Attention can be very immersed in seeing, and then you can switch and specifically make a point of listening. And you hear my voice. and the sound of Arapahoe Avenue. And there are people in the room, and so somebody is sniffling or coughing, or we're all pretty still right now. And you can hear the sound of silence too. And so now I'm inviting you to let this whole channel of hearing kind of like come together with the field of vision. It's like now you're bringing that in and allowing both those channels to be, contributing to the splendor of your world. And then we can do the same with tasting and smelling. Those senses are not that important right now. I have a glass of water here. I can do some tasting. But you see the point. It's like you can now add this channel, let's say, of smelling and the channel of tasting into this painting of the present moment. And then touch. Feeling your body touching the ground. Touching itself. If you fold your hands or put your arms together like I'm doing right now, it's like there's a whole dimension of receiving or making this, like, let me put it this way, making this painting of the present moment also with what you feel with your skin, the clothes on your body, bit of air movement, hot and cold, all that. And that adds to the painting of the present. And then tune your attention to what you feel in the region of your physical body. I call this the felt body. It's a difference between what you touch with your skin and what you feel in the region of your physical body. There are bodily sensations throughout your body. If you do mindfulness practice with like a body scan, you would touch the body from the inside, so to speak, one part at a time. If you're familiar with this practice, you could be quite good at just like going just through the body and picking up each part and letting your attention really flow into the felt body. And this also adds to the painting of the present. Now, why is this such a big deal? It's like, or maybe it's not a big deal for you, but it's like many meditation or mindfulness practitioners make a big point about, like, it's almost like recovering a dimension of the present that is often neglected or kind of forgotten because the senses are so drawn into what we think of as the external world. And we make a distinction, like there's an outside world and an inside world. But what I'm suggesting right now is that you make a painting of the present with all these different channels, and you're just allowing it to become richer with each channel. Like if you practice this on your own, you could do it in any order you want. You could begin with the felt body and then open up to sight and sound, etc. But what I'm saying is, like, it's just appearing together. What you see and what you feel in the region of your physical body just appears together. You can make a point about how it's inside and outside, but you can also de-emphasize that point. It's like you could not give it a lot of importance that you have been thinking of one as being outside and one as being inside. It's just occurring together. And then you can tune attention to the mind. In this pause that I'm making, is like where your mind is not occupied by the meaning of my words. What appears in your mind, There's some thoughts appearing, or maybe if you're an experienced meditator, you're just like, oh, there's no need to think. There's no thought appearing, actually. It's like, is he going to say something? That would be a thought, right? But you don't have to have that thought. There's a mind space in which thought appears, or memory. And this also adds to the painting of the present. And then you can ask yourself, what is this? What is the mind? Let me call it that right now. What is the mind space in which those thoughts appear, in which those thoughts are coming and going? Is that mind space inside or outside? Is the space in which the thoughts appear and the space in which your visual impressions or your hearing appear, is it the same or is it different? Is the mind, if we think of the mind, is the mind inside of the body, inside of the skull maybe even, or is the mind all of space, and all those impressions that we've just separated into channels, are they all appearing in the same mind space, making a painting of the present? I'm not saying that one view is, right now, I'm not saying one view is right and another view is wrong, but which view do you have? What would be the consequences of having one view compared to the others, like, does it make a difference if you consider the mind being inside? Does that trap you in a small space? If you allow all this painting of the present appear within something you would call the mind or awareness, like, what does that do to your feeling of how wide you are? Now, another exploration here is like, do you have any objection to what's arising right now? Like to this, do you have any objection to the painting of the present? There's something you don't like about it. When you bring in the felt body, immediately bring in pain. Make yourself aware of anything that isn't quite right, doesn't feel quite right, some tension, where it is. No. You know where there's tension in your felt body. Are you making that a problem? Do you wish it wasn't there? That would be quite normal. I'm not judging you or something, right? But I'm just wanting to encourage you to notice whether you have an objection to that, a complaint. Or we could have a complaint about the noise that's always coming from Arapahoe Avenue. You have thoughts that are disturbing, or kind of like, or emotions that you wish you didn't have, or maybe you have regrets, or ideas for the future of how to make things better, or you wish you didn't come here. Enjoy the day outside rather than sitting here in a crowded space, or whatever. You may not have any of those, but what kind of difference does it make to relate to this painting of the present with a kind of critical mind? Receiving it just as it is. There's something in Dogen's writing. The reason I'm doing this here is like this, what I've been calling the painting of the present. Sometimes I like to say this here, now moment. But the reason I want to say here, now moment is because what is typically called the present moment really is a space. It's a here, an expanded here. That isn't even it isn't in opposition to a there. It is a here that includes everything. And this here and now it doesn't go anywhere. Inside of this here and now, lots of change takes place. I'm waving my hands right now. Sounds are coming and going. But this here and now present isn't going anywhere. It's like everything we call change just kind of like flows through it. Dogen's writing, I would say 80% of his writing, I don't know, that's a made-up number, but 80% of his writing is just contemplating this. Contemplating this here now moment and expecting you to be rooted in it. He does sometimes make you say, well, reflect on this, and then you get to think about something. Or he's going to make some sort of conceptual definition. But other than that, it's like all these words are pointing to this here now moment. And in our particular text, he calls this life. This here now moment is called life. When we hear the word life, right, each of you, if you can do that while I'm talking, but what do you think when you hear the word life? One way we hear the word life is, I think, as lifespan, our lifespan. My life is when I was born, I live, I die. This is a lifespan. And when somebody says, hey, your life, this is what most people think, this lifespan. Again, there's nothing wrong about this, but I would say Dogen is talking about what I've slowly tried to build for all of us. Is this is life. Life is this here now moment. If you bring in the lifespan as a thought, it happens here now as a thought. You're not living your past. You think about your past and bring the past in. What we call the past arises within the present as memory or as a kind of vague sense of everything you've experienced. Right? It's quite vague. I mean, you'd have to really spend time spelling it out and write a biography to bring it into order. But it's just a vague sense that I have lived for a while. And this way I have lived for a while is present now within this painting of the present. The past is, in that sense, not gone. It's always there. And the future is present in this way too. You can spell it out and make a plan or something, but this idea how time will unfold into something different from now is this feeling of a space into which we live is also present in this moment. So, this is life. So there's another dimension here with speaking about life is, I've said this before, but this is a kind of recap, that life also means birth. the Japanese word, and it means, like, if you want to radicalize it into the momentariness that I'm presenting right now, it just means appearance. That which is born right now as this display of life. It also means something like enlivenment, or being alive in the midst of life, which is, my experience of that is like, if I'm asking us to bring attention to what we're seeing and discover the splendor of seeing, we're making seeing alive. If you just pass it by, it's like, oh, look, you're thinking about something, it doesn't really matter. The present that you're immersed in sensorially doesn't really matter because you're worried about the future, let's say. You're deadening the present. And that's why mindfulness practice can feel refreshing or vitalizing, because we're making the present alive. It's not just like we're taking it for granted. We're like really attentionally presencing it. So life has also this dimension. It's like that which comes alive when it is rooted in the present. So, as we're going, hopefully, into the text over the course of the weekend, I would like this to be a kind of touchstone for us. Like, when we read the word life, and I'll say something about that in a second. When we read the word life, it's like, make yourself present. Make the present alive, and then you have a different experiential depth to that word. It's not meant to be a concept. It's meant to call something up. As somebody said, it's like Dogen is describing his experience of Zazen. He's not. Although this is also quite philosophical, he's not really writing a philosophical text. He's like describing the experience of Zazen. Now there's this, he says, the great way of all Buddhas, completely embodied, thoroughly practiced, is liberation and actualization. And then he goes on to define, this is something we've already looked at, but as a recap for those who are coming in. And then he says liberation means that life is freed from life. And we've just done that. We've just liberated life from the conception of life and anchored it in the sensorial present. That's how I read this. And so, in the translation that I'm working on, like what I'm calling for myself an experiential translation, something that is more closer to how I'm experiencing the text, although this is a failed attempt. But anyway, you have 4 published translations, and then I'll give you this as it progresses. It's on the portal. I'm now experimenting with replacing life in certain places with aliveness, which is one of my favorite words. Because when life is freed of the conception of life, like a lifespan or the purpose of your life, or whatever you might have as an idea of what your life is about and what it is and what it should be and so forth. When life is freed from that, what it is aliveness. I mean, if we want to choose a word there. And then aliveness is this here now moment, which is also in my view, very much experienced through the felt body. Because your thoughts can be all over the place. They can roam the past and the future and so forth. But your body can only be here now, can be experienced here now. You can't experience your body in the past or in the future. But the other senses is the same. But the vitality or the aliveness, if it's a felt quality, comes through the felt body. So liberation is when life is freed from life and death is freed from death. Well, that's harder to make experientially clear because we all haven't experienced death. Some people might object if you have a worldview of multiple lives. Now, I don't know enough people, I guess. But it's very difficult to actually, even if you have a view of multiple lives, to find somebody who can really report about the experience of death. If you have, maybe there's certain masters who write books about that, it's all dubious. Why? Because you can't verify it. Or if you have verified it, please come talk to me. I'm curious. No, I am. But I'm just saying right now, it's hard. We haven't experienced death, so it is unclear. But what we can work with, and I think the text, you should read this when you read death in this text, what we can experience is disappearance. We can experience the ceasing of something. You hear the sound of this car that just went by. I mean, there's too many cars to isolate, but this was a little louder. It comes, and there's the sound, and then it fades. And then there's a moment in which it's gone. So you could say, in the present, this sound just died. This thought just died. So life and death is also is appearance and disappearance, and how in this here now present appearance and disappearance collaborate to make this experience, right? It's like for me to say something, what I've said before has to disappear to make room for the appearance. Like something has to disappear for something else to appear. It's like life, if you now zoom out life as, well, I'll speak about this at another time, but life as a whole, like all of biology, let's say, the whole biosphere. Why would the whole biosphere need death? We've been talking over tea, it's like there's some people who want to beat death like a illness, right? Why does evolution need death? If everyone just stayed around, right? There's experimentation going on. What works? And there's making room for a newness. So we can appreciate the importance of disappearance and of death for the appearing of the new. Also in our own lifespan, it's like certain aspects of our life have to disappear, certain relationships, certain focus we established, something we've learned, and it has, like, something is over. You can feel it. This is done now. I'm done with this. So why? So that something new can appear. So it's like you can establish a new focus. You can get yourself involved in something else. We may not understand why this is happening, but it's happening in each person's life. I don't think about any kind of grand purpose or plan or like what you have to learn in this life. I don't think that way. But some people do. It's fine. But I don't. It's too speculative for my taste. But I recognize that some things fade away and then there's a new era. So, to conclude, what is the experiential texture you feel with the word life? And what's the experiential texture that you feel with the word death? There's a lot there. If you keep anchoring it in this painting of the present. Okay. Let's take a break.